Think loops are complicated in Python? Think again. I'm about to show you how easy and powerful they can be. If you're new to this channel, I'm Karina. I have transformed my career from finance to data, and I'm here to help you do the same one step at a time. There are two types of loops in Python, for and while. For loops are used when you know the exact number of iterations, such as iterating over elements of a sequence. While loops are different. While loops are used when the number of iterations is unknown beforehand, and the loop should run as long as the condition is true. So let's start with for loops. As I said before, a for loop in Python is used for iterating over a sequence, such as a list, a dictionary, set, or a string. The syntax is for variable in sequence, colon, and then code block to execute. Let's start with a very simple one. We say for I in, then square brackets 0, 1, 2, colon, and then we say print, and we will print hello. Let's run it, and it printed hello 3 times. Let's do another one. For I in range, and then for range we use ordinary brackets, not square brackets. We would say 10, colon, and then print meow. Let's print it, and it printed this word 10 times. So you could have noticed that we use this I variable, but then we didn't use it anywhere else. So we say for I in this bracket and then print hello. And similarly in the second example, we also said for I in range and then print. So again, we don't use our I variable anywhere else. So you can see that while Python needs this I as a place to store the number of the iteration of the loop, we never use it anywhere for any other purpose. And in that case, even don't need to use this variable, we can just replace it with underscore. And even if you modify the code, nothing changes, it doesn't break the code. But there would be other scenarios where you will use this I. For example, we will rewrite this script for I in range 3, again colon, and then we would print I. And it printed digits from 0 to 2. In this example, we use this I variable. We printed this I variable. If you want to use this variable somewhere further in your code, you need to indicate it. If you don't want to use it anywhere else, if you don't need it, you can replace it with underscore. With for loops, we can iterate not only over a range or a list, we can iterate over a string. For example, we say for letter in, and then we use our string, and we say print letter. This way, our loop iterated through every element of a string and printed it. Let's create a new list called fruits. So we say fruits equals square brackets, because to create lists in Python, you need to use square brackets, and then we say apple, banana, cherry. And then we're creating our loop. So we say for fruit in fruit, colon, and then print fruit. As you can see, this time instead of using I, we used a fruit. So you can use any name that you want to name your variable. It can be for word in sentences. It can be, for example, for digit in numbers. It can be something very descriptive that it is easier to understand when you read your code several months or years later. It's also easier for other programmers to read your code. This time, instead of running our code, we will use debugger to understand how loop work. So in Jupyter Notebooks, in VS Code, you can use debugger. You need to install it into your environment. We need to put our breakpoints. Here we can say debug a cell. So this new thing will pop up that allows you to run your code, skip through some parts of the code or step into the code. But we want to step into so we can understand line by line what is happening. This is a list of all the variables that exist in this environment. On this list, you can find we have this fruit variable. So apple, banana, cherry. We've just created this variable. Our apple has index 0, banana 1, cherry 2, and the length of our variable is 3. And now we will step into our loop. So we're stepping into it, and you see it says that at this point, our variable is apple, and now we will print this variable, or we will print fruit. So let's step into it. Let's do again. So now we step again. At this point, our fruit just changed to banana, and now we print that variable. Then we go again. At this point, our fruit equals banana. Let's step in. Our fruit changed to cherry, and we print this. Step in, we're doing another loop, but now we ran out of elements in our list. Let's try to create a nested loop and again do this step in debugging to see how it works. So nested loop is loop within a loop. Another thing I need to mention that in Python we have a thing called indentation. So indent or white spaces before the line of code. And you can see that we always start writing our code from the left side, because in Python all codes are always read from left to right, from top to bottom. So we always start writing from the left and there are no spaces before the first line of code, otherwise it will create an error. But when we were creating our loops, the second line is always indented, so we have a couple of white spaces before the word print. And when you're creating a loop, VS Code, Jupyter Notebooks, they hint you, they actually create these white spaces for you, so you know how to properly structure your code. But when you're creating a nested loop, it might become an issue. So this indentation helps Python to understand in which order to run your loop, where the loop starts, where loop ends. It actually matters. Let's create a nested loop for I in range 3, and we will say print this hash sign. Let's run it. So this loop just prints 3 hash signs, each of the signs on a new line. Let's add extra thing to create a nested loop. When I create nested loops, I start with the top one and then I go into details. I create the second one inside and the third one inside. This way I manage all my indentation and make sure that all prints are located where they're supposed to be. So we go to this colon, and now we're creating a new loop. So we say for j, we can't use I because I is already taken, so you can use some word or j. In range, we will say for new colon, and we need to say our print. This time we will also say hash. So you can see these white spaces. Also you have this little line in VS Code that helps you to understand what part of code belongs to which part of our loop. And let's print it. Okay, this time we created 12 hash signs. Let's remove this one and print nothing. This loop prints 4 hash signs 3 times. I will make one more change and then we'll go into debugger. So I will say and equals nothing. So we added this and equals a quote. Let's run it. Now you can see that we printed 4 hash signs 3 times. Let's add a breakpoint and look at the debugger and see what's happening. We start in our loop. At this point our I is 0 and our j is 0, and we need to print our hash sign. And then we go inside of our inner loop. Our I is out of loop while our j is in a loop. So we stuck here for a while till j is in range of 4. So we started with j0, now our j was changed to 1, but our I is still 0 because we are within our inner loop. So we printing. Now once our inner loop is finished, we go into our outer loop. Now we go again, our I changes from 0 to 1, it changed, and now we go into another inner loop again, and it repeats again and again till it finished. We looked at iterations over a string, we looked at iterations over a list. Let's look at iterations over a dictionary. We will create a new dictionary called student grades. So dictionaries in Python are always created with curly brackets. So we say student grades equal curly brackets. Dictionary has key value pairs. Each key is the name of a student and each value is a student's grade. If you want to iterate over keys over our students, we say for student in student grades. So again, here you don't need to say student, you can say I, J, whatever you want, but of course if you say student it's more descriptive, and after in we need to specify our list, our dictionary string, or over what we are iterating. We iterating over student grades, colon, and we need to print student, we need to print this variable. Let's run it. So we printed Alice, Bob, Charlie. So if you want to print not our names but our grades, for grade in student grades, and here you need to say dot values brackets and then colon and then print a grade. And that allows you to print values in the dictionary, so not keys but values. And if you want to print both student names and grades, it's also possible. You say for student comma grade because we want to print both student variable and a grade variable in, then we indicate where we want it, and this time we say dot items, so we don't say dot values like last time. We say dot items brackets, and then I will print it as a f string. So I say student and grade. Let's print it, and it printed the dictionary the way we want it. In one of my videos, we created a loop that creates bar charts for us. First, I create a dictionary that contains column names and a title for my future bar charts, and then I create a loop that goes through these details and creates bar charts one by one. So I will show you here again how it's done. For example, I say column titles, then I create a dictionary similarly to what we've just created for our student in grades. So that will be a column name, and that will be a title name for my visuals. And then how the loop works, I say for column and title in. Where should I look at this? I should find it in my dictionary, which is called column titles, dot items, and then I say plt figure, defining figure size for all my visuals, and then details of how we plot it, how we add title, different labels, and displaying each of the graphs. So by using loops, you can automate your work. So instead of doing something repetitively, instead of doing task over and over again manually, you create a loop that can do it for you. And now it's time to talk about while loops. So with for loops, we know the number of iterations beforehand, and with while loop, we don't know. We want to run it till the condition is true. So the syntax of while loops is while condition colon, and then the code to execute. For example, I say I variable equals 3, and then while I doesn't equal 0, print meow. And I've just created an endless loop. And that's the problem with while loops, because they will be running till the condition is true. And that's why you need to know that Ctrl+C allows you to stop this endless loop, or of course you can click here to stop it. What we've done here, we said variable I equals 3, and while 3 doesn't equal 0, because 3 doesn't equal 0, print meow, and it starts printing forever and ever and ever. So be careful with while loops. Let's delete this one. How to modify this code that it doesn't run forever. So again, I equals 3, while our I doesn't equal 0, print meow, but after printing we say I equals I minus 1. So we started with 3, it printed once, and then I minus 1 will be 2. We go back to our loop, we check in if 2 doesn't equal 0, it doesn't equal 0, print meow, then 2 minus 1, 1. Again, computer goes, checks that 1 doesn't equal 0, prints it, and 1 minus 1 becomes 0, and then is 0 equal 0? Yes, and we stop in our loop. Let's run it. It printed 3 times. After 3 iterations, our I becomes 0, and that's why the loop stopped. We will do something similar, but this time we're creating a new variable called count. Count equals 0. While our count less than 5, we will print count. After each printing, we will say count plus equal 1. So in Python language, count plus equal 1 is exactly the same as count plus 1. Similarly here, I used it I minus 1, but this one can be replaced as minus equal 1. So let's print it, and again we printed everything from 0 to 4. Since our while loops can run forever and ever while the condition is true, there are 2 words that can be added in our while loops to make them stop from running forever, which is continue and break. So continue explicitly tells Python to go to the next iteration of a loop. And break, on the other hand, tells Python to break off the loop and stop it before it has finished all its iterations. Let's say our I variable equals 1, and while our I is less than 10, we want to print I. But we want to add another condition. If our I equals 5, we want to break it. Let's actually debug ourselves and see what is happening. I equals 1, we can see that our local variable I is equal 1 at this point. Now we in our while loop, is I less than 10? Yes, print I, we just printed 1. If I equals 5, no it's not, we skip this part, and now we say I plus equals 1, which will make it 2. At this point our I is 2. Is 2 less than 10? Yes, that's why we will print it. Again, does it equal 5? No. And we continue our loop. At this point, I equals 3, repeating again. Now our I equals 4. Now our I equals 5. Is 5 equals 5? Yes. So we break in, and our loop finished, so we broke the loop. Let's look how the word continue works. So again, our I variable equals 0. While I is less than 6, we say I plus 1, and if I equals 3, we continue. Let's look at our loop on this debugger. So our I equals 0, then we stepping in, we run another part, so our I is equals 1 now. Then we check if our I equals 3, so if 1 equals 3, no, in that case we print in our I. We do it again, and now our I equals 3, and if 3 equals 3, we do continue. So we are skipping that I that equals 3, and now we go back and we will print our 4, and then we will print 5, and we will print our 6. For example, we want to print the sum of only positive numbers. We have this list of our numbers which have negative and positive numbers. Then our I equals 0, our total equals 0. We creating this loop while our I is less than len of numbers. Len is a way of checking the length of a list. It shows how many elements we have, so the length of this list is 7. So while our I is less than 7, if our I is less than 0, we do +1. So if our digit is negative, we skipping the negative number with continue, and if it is not negative, we summing them up. And again, with debugger, it will be much easier to understand what's happening. We have a list of numbers. You can see this local variable here. We also have I variable 0. Let's step into this one, and at this point, so we have variable numbers, we have variable total which equals 0, and we have variable I which equals 0. So at this point our I is 0, so we check in if element 0 in our list numbers less than 0. So if it's a negative number, then we say +1 and continue. But it's not true. Element 0 is 1, which is greater than 0. That's why this condition wasn't executed. So you can see that our total became 1, and now we say I +1. So now our I is already 1, it's not 0, and we check in the next element in our list, the element 1, and our element 1 is number 2. Is 2 less than 0? No. That's why we skip this part, and now total equals 1 plus 2 equals 3. We do the same with the next element is 3. Again, it's positive number, that's why we adding it up to our total, and we go back. Our next element is less than 0. We say I +1, but we skipping it, we don't add it to our total. We say continue, and continue allows us to skip this number. Now we have this element which is 4. 4 is positive, that's why we adding it up to our total, and you can see how our total 6 will be changed to 10. And now we finished with our loop, and we can print a total number, and total number is 15. So break allows us to break out of the loop when some condition is met, while continue allows us to skip something and continue with our loop. Continue and break are used with while loops, otherwise while loops will run till condition is true. So loops are not as complicated as they might seem, especially if you understand what is happening and the order of the execution. As I said, all code in Python is executed from left to right, from top to bottom. So you can see how it executes line by line, and it goes from outer loop into inner loop unless there are some break continue things, and it goes on and on. I hope this video helped you understand that loops are very useful and not as scary as they might think, but it also took me some time to get used to them, and actually using debugger is something that helped me to understand the logic of their work. Please let me know if you like tutorials like this, where the whole video is about a specific module or element or library in Python. Let me know what other things you want to discuss. If you made so far in this video, please click like and subscribe. It means a lot to me, and I hope to see you next time.